My name is Jim Stewart. I am president of the Bruce McCombs EAA Chapter 72 here in Falcon, Colorado. The airplane that you see behind me was donated to the chapter by an extremely generous person, a member of the chapter.
I'm Ken Hendrickson. I started at the airport when I was 14. By the time I graduated from high school, I had my commercial license, and shortly after I got my instrument rating, I got hired by Capital Airlines, who later merged with United Airlines.
About 7 o'clock in the morning, phone rang, and this extremely excited and voice on the other end just blasted out of the phone, and I jerked the phone away from my ear. But he says, I just figured out what I'm going to do with my airplane. I'm going to give it to Chapter 72. My immediate thought was, well, this is some guy that's got an airplane and he wants to get rid of it, and it's probably a piece of junk, and he's going to give it to our chapter to get rid of. And he's built this airplane in his basement while he was home and able to take care of Miriam. Miriam, Ken's wife, has been living with Parkinson's disease for some time now, and consequently, she can't get out of the house very well, and Ken will not leave her alone.
The airplanes have been a lifesaver for me because we've been married 71 years this month, and we still like each other an awful lot. There's 22,000 rivets in it, by the way. There's only I think 4 or 5 that I didn't pull, that I let some of my very best friends or family pull one. I had it up to where it needed an engine install, and I thought about advertising and selling it, and I really didn't want that to happen to it because it turned out to be a nice little airplane, and I wanted it finished properly. What we decided was, let's give it to the EAA chapter, and it'll give them a project, finishing the airplane. It was pretty much just the engine install, and then doing the rigging and doing the weight and balance and everything. And so I called Jim up, and I said, I think I have a project that you might like. And they expected to see a project. They didn't expect to see an almost complete airplane.
We went into Ken's house, down a flight of stairs, made a hard right turn, and then a left turn into his workshop. And we instantly, saw this fuselage sitting there. It didn't have wings on it, and the engine wasn't on it, but the fuselage was beautiful. And we all three just gasped at, wow, this is a really nice airplane. My focus went immediately to how do we get an airplane like this out of his basement, because it's not going up those stairs. And Ken saw me standing there with this puzzled look on my face, and he said, hey Jim, don't worry, it'll go out through the window. So when we showed up, all of us, that morning at Ken's house, he was totally overwhelmed and excited to have all of these aviation people show up at his house. He has told me since that was one of the best days that he's had in a long time for all of us to show up. We broke his window, but we got the plane out.
The Super Cub, it needed restored, badly restored, and it was a nice Super Cub. It was a P-18-95, the one without flaps, and with a 95 horsepower engine. This was going to be the airplane for the kids to get their cross countries in and work for their commercial licenses and everything, and that's what we did. We restored that, and it worked. It turned out real nice. The EAA chapter, they actually did me a big favor. I got my shop back and I had this one ordered. And I had ordered it at Oshkosh that year, I guess, and it was coming in, and I needed space. There is an RV-14 empennage in the garage right now. I won't get the fuselage and the wings till early next year, but I ordered it last year. So the RV-14 is going to be for my boys to teach their grandkids, hopefully.
Probably the number one thing that makes me keep this airplane is it is really fun to fly. This thing is a really well-behaved aircraft. Randy Schlitter, the owner of Rand's Aircraft, designed this to be an extremely easy to fly yet fun to fly airplane. Another thing I like about it is that it's very economical to operate. It's probably one of the more economical aircraft that you'll find out there that still has pretty decent cross-country capability. And again, this thing just flies so well, and it's so fun to fly.
I've flown a lot of airplanes, and it's easy to fly. It's a very nice flying little airplane. I thought this was the safest airplane on the market at the time, and that's why I bought that particular kit and built that particular airplane.
Our plan for the airplane is to raffle it off. What we'd like to do and hope that we can do is sell 2,500 tickets at $100 a piece. That'll give us $250,000. With that $250,000, we would purchase a Red Bird simulator, which will cost us between $60,000 and $70,000. But with that simulator, we would be able to give the pilots on this airport currency checks and instrument checks and things like that, as well as help the student pilots on this airport to get their private pilot's license. Well, if we were successful with the sale and we had the $250,000, we'd purchase the Red Bird, we'd have some money left over, and with that money, we'd offer scholarships to the kids, to all the student pilots that we could, and try to help them get through their private pilot's license onto an aviation college and to launch their aviation career.